Very good morning, dear students. Hello, I am Vaibhav Shah. How are you all? I hope all of you are safe at your home and preparing well for your examination. I hope you have completed all the past 5 types of organization, that is linear, functional, formal, informal and matrix organization, along with the difference between formal organization and informal organization. There is one suggestion for you people. First of all, try to find out the answers of worksheet from textbook only and make a habit that you either read from the textbook itself or the question answers which you are learning is also done from the textbook, so that there should be a uniformity between the different, so uniformity in the examination, and you don't mess with the different kind of reference book, because each and every author who is writing their reference book will be using different types of references, and sometimes they make it difficult to understand and sometimes it becomes very hard to learn. But as we have discussed in classroom also, that the board is preparing its textbook itself. It is following their textbook and the concepts or the textual which is given in the textbook only. It means whenever we are going for checking a paper of your board examinations, then there is a proper answer key is ready, which will be given to each and every teacher, and this answer key is prepared from the textbook itself. And so we have a reference of textbook also, and you have to learn or you have to read everything from textbook. That's why we are following a textbook. If there is a difficulty in finding any of the answer of a question, then first of all you try to find it from the textbook. Secondly, ask your subject teacher that I am not finding a particular question from textbook, so tell me where is it. Or then thirdly, if you are not satisfied with the answer of a teacher, then and then go for a reference book. And it is also make sure that you ask your subject teacher regarding the reference book, because he or she is knowing very well about the best reference book available for their particular subject. So now let us move forward. Decentralization. This is our second part of this particular chapter. In first part we discussed everything about the organizational structure, its characteristics, important process, then types, and now we are moving forward the decentralization. When we study organizational structures, the following points emerge. First, some business units are such when authority is centralized at top level only and most of the decisions are taken by top level. Second, in some business organization, the decision making is done by all the levels and the certain kind of decisions are taken as per the requirement of the work needed. In the first type of organization, all the power rests on the upper level only, and so it is called centralized structure. But in the second type, all the powers are distributed and all levels have specific powers, and so are called decentralization of authority. Now, first of all, let us clear about the concepts of centralization and decentralization. In centralization, the powers and authorities lies or concentrated on a top level only. There are very few or single or 2 or 3 persons are there who are taking all kind of decisions regarding the business activities. They are not only confined themselves to the important issues, but they are also focusing on the day-to-day activities, and they try to make a uniform way where each and every activity is decided by the top level itself, and the middle level and bottom level are just the implementers who have to implement the decision taken by the top level. So here the power and authority or decision making power is concentrated up to the single level, that is top level. That's why this type of organization is called centralization. While the contrary to that, in decentralization, we are distributing the authority, power, and responsibility according to the needs to the specific, specialized, or expert people in the organization, so that work becomes very easy. Here, the top level authority has to only focus on the monitoring or controlling the activities of the organization, not more than that, because all other activities are divided or distributed among the different level managers and officers. So by this way we are having a two type of authorities. First one is a centralization, where each and every decision making power is lies, or we can say concentrated on top level only, while decentralization, where we are dividing or distributing the authority and responsibility to different levels of organization according to their needs. Now let us discuss the same point with the help of a textual literature. When we study organizational structures, the following points emerge. Because there is only these two types of structures exist, and that's why the 2 points comes to face out when we are discussing or taking a decision regarding organizational structure. First one is, some business units are such when authority centralized at top level only. It means they are not distributing their powers and authorities among other departments or other levels. There is authority centralized, it means it is focused on top level only, and most of the decisions of the business organization are taken by top level itself. Second, in some business organization, the decision making is done by all the levels. This is contrary to the first one. In first one, all the decisions are taken by top level authorities, while here all the decisions are taken by the all levels, and the certain kind of decisions are taken as per the requirement of the work needed. It means here we are distributing authority and responsibility to different departmental heads, and their authority and responsibility confined to the working and success of their departments only. But somewhat here we are distributing the power and responsibility among different levels of management, and that's why this type of organization structure is called decentralization. So in first, all the decision are taken by top level only, while in second all the decision making is done by all the levels, and certain kind of decisions are taken as per the requirement of work needed. It means whenever or wherever they are in need of taking a decision, they will take it by themselves. In the first type of organization, all the power rests on the upper level only, and so it is called centralized structure. But in the second type, all the powers are distributed and all levels have specific powers, so are called decentralization of authority. Now let us move forward to the concept of decentralization. The thought of decentralization is very important from a viewpoint of authority and responsibility. The administrators have to themselves decide whether to have centralized or decentralized power in the organization. Small sized organization can have centralized power, and large sized organizations can have decentralized forms. This can bring success to the organization. The thought of decentralization is very important from the viewpoint of authority and responsibility, because here, whether to decide a centralization or decentralization, the totally focused is on the distribution of authority and responsibility only. In centralized, you are keeping the authority and responsibility confined to some particular area or some particular persons only. While in decentralization, you are distributing this authority and responsibility among the different levels of the organization. The administrators means all those who are administrating or managing the business have to themselves decide whether to have centralized or decentralized power in the organization. Now line this next sentence. Small size organization can have centralized power. So it may ask in an exam that in which type of organization the centralization is more favorable, or it is more means it is more important, or where it is applicable. So in small size organization, because there is the number of persons are very limited, and the owners can himself or herself focus on each and every activity personally. That's why they can decide the centralization of power in small size organization. While in large size organization we can have decentralization form, because in large size organization it is not at all possible that a single person or a group of a few person can control all the activities. So that's why we have to decentralize powers. This can bring success to the organization. Means if the small size organization focus on decentralization, then they will have to suffer a loss, because the cost of decentralization is very high. And if the big organization focus on centralization, then it will never succeed, because in large organization it is not possible to control each and every activity by a few people. So in both the cases, in small size centralization and in large size decentralization bring the success to the organization. Now let us discuss the meaning. The delegation of power from upper level to lower level in orderly manner is known as decentralization of power. It is one of the easiest and best definition of decentralization. So here we can say that delegation of authority and responsibility is also the part of decentralization of a power. So the delegation of power from upper level to lower level in orderly manner, that means from upper level to middle level and middle level to bottom level, is known as decentralization of power. Now let us move forward, discuss about the definition according to Henry Fayol. So first definition is given by Henry Fayol: to assign power to the superiors, to enable distribution of work, and to include in decision making process is called decentralization. So here, according to Henry Fayol also, to assign powers to the superiors, it means to assign powers to the board of directors, general manager, different departmental heads and supervisors. To enable distribution of work, we are here distributing power to enable or to enable the distribution of work in a properly manner, and to include these different experts in decision making process is called decentralization. So here we are giving some kind of authority for distribution of work, and including those people in a decision making is called decentralization of power. In this way, the allotment of decision making authority to the sphere of people who need to take decision is called decentralization of power. It does not mean that all the powers are given by the upper level administrators to the lower level, but most of the powers are given is called decentralization of power. So in this way, the allotment of decision making authority to that sphere of people who need to take decision is called decentralization of power. Line this statement also. Here it is clearly mentioned that we don't have to divide the authority and responsibility to each and every employee, but the allotment of decision making authority is to that sphere of people who need to take decision. It means all the departmental heads, divisional heads, etc. is called decentralization of power. It doesn't mean that all the powers are given by the upper level administrator to the lower level. It means they are taking some of the strategic and policy decision regarding authorities to themselves and dividing only those powers and responsibilities which confined to particular department or to particular work only. While the supreme authority, or we can say the majority of powers, is still concentrated or lies to top level management only. So here they are not giving or not distributing full 100% powers and authorities, but they are distributing the authority according to the need of that particular activity. So, but most of the powers are given is called decentralization of power. Now let us move forward and discuss the importance of decentralization. Here in importance we are having 6 importance, and lastly we'll discuss about the limitations of the decentralization of organization. Now let us discuss about the importance. The success of management depends on the proper distribution of authority and responsibilities. In centralization of power, the hierarchy, non-scientifically taken decisions, non-cooperation, lack of specialization, and more workload, etc. can be seen. Hence, the idea of decentralization is becoming popular. In the modern times, in the business units, decentralization of power is seen in majority of the cases. Now, here in first line, either it is the importance of decentralization, or we can say here it is given the limitations of centralization of power is given, and when we are discussing the limitations of centralization, we automatically discussing about the the importance of decentralization itself. So here the success of management depends on the proper distribution of authority and responsibilities. Because if there is less authority is given, then also the work will suffer, and if more powers will be given, then also the work will suffer, because the authority will become independent and take decision without any responsibility. In centralization of power, so here we are going to discuss about some of the limitations of centralization. That in centralization of power, the hierarchy means the structure from top level to bottom level in a sequential manner is called hierarchy. Non-scientifically taken decision, because in centralization the authority and power lies to the top level management only, and sometimes it may happen that they are making a hurried conclusion and some decisions might be wrong because they are not discussing their decision with anyone, so there is no second opinion will be taken. Third, no cooperation, because here you have to take decision by yourself own, so there is no cooperation of other. Lack of specialization, because one person who is sitting at the top he is not able to specialize in each and every activities. He confined himself to some of the activities only, while other activities will be not of that much specialized nature. And lastly, more workload. So here in centralization or limitations of centralization, we are having the hierarchy level, non-scientifically taken decisions, non-cooperation, lack of specialization, and more workload. Hence, it means due to the limitations of centralization of power, the idea of decentralization is becoming popular. So nowadays, majority of the organization are focusing on the decentralization of power instead of centralization. In the modern times, in the business units, decentralization of power is seen in majority of the cases. It means in today's world, in all the business units, decentralization is become a very prominent factor or a very prominent authority and distribution channel for the organization. Now let us discuss some of the importance which are given over here. First one is quick decisions. In the decentralization, the person who has to take the decision in that work or activity is involved completely and has the power to take the decision, and hence the decision are taken quickly and effectively. So whenever we are distributing the authority amongst person, it may happen that we become free or feel free ourselves with the all the decision making process, because now there are more number of peoples are engaged in the decision making authority, and that's why we can decide the pros and cons of any of the activity immediately, and so that we can take decision very quickly. In the decentralization, the person who has to take the decision in that work or activity is involved completely. It means if the marketing manager is there, then the power and authority is distributed among them, that he is able to take any kind of decision regarding his particular department without any of the interruptions or interference of any other persons, and has the power to take the decision, and hence the decisions are taken quickly and effectively, because now they don't have to ask any of the superior authority regarding any kind of decision, because now he is free to take the decision regarding his department and success of his department. The second importance is less workload at top level, because as we all knows that in the centralization of power, the top level is engaged in each and every activity of the organization, whether it is strategy related, policy related, or day to day activities, while in decentralization they become free from this kind of workload. The top level is the level where most of the policy matter related decisions are taken. With the help of decentralization of power, the decision taking authority is given to middle or lower level, hence the workload on upper level is reduced. Now the top level, it means all those who are at the supreme level of the authority, where most of the policy matter related decisions are taken. It is obvious that whether the organization is small or large, the top level will take all kind of policy and strategic related decisions by themselves. With the help of decentralization power, so now we are distributing the authority and responsibility among different peoples. The decision taking authority is given to middle or lower level, hence the workload on upper level is reduced. Now the decision regarding the department and division will be taken by the departmental or divisional heads on the basis of their specialization, and bottom level is confined itself to the day to day activities of the business organization. So in both of these cases, the top level becomes free from taking all kind of decision related to top level authorities, and now the work is distributed among middle and bottom level, and that's why the workload of the top level is reducing. Third point is increase in motivation. Due to decentralization, employees get motivation and their self-confidence increases. They are given independence on middle or lower levels, and when they see their decisions becoming successful, their confidence boosts. They also get the experience on how to take such kind of decisions in such kind of situations. It is obvious that whether we are in a school or in an organization, if someone will take if someone notice our work and give reward or give motivation to us for further work, then it will be helpful in increasing the enthusiasm of work. So here, when the top level authority rewards or gives power and responsibilities to middle level and bottom level, they feel that their work is recognized by the top level, and that's why they increase their responsibility and authority, and now they will work more enthusiastically and their work will be rewarded. Sometimes it may happen that in big decisions, if we contribute a very small thing or if we give some kind of advice or opinion regarding that decision, and if the decision making authority notice that particular decision and take decision on the basis of our suggestion, then we feel proud on us. Same way in organization also, when the decision making authority is distributed among the middle level and bottom level, they feel pride in their work and they take proud that now we also become a part of the management, and that's why our decision is taking primarily or prioritized by the top level authorities. Due to decentralization, employees get motivation because now they are awarded with more authority and responsibility, and now they are having the power to taking decisions by themselves, and their self-confidence increases because now they are feeling that they can take decision by themselves, and now their work will be more rewarded or the success will depends on his decision, so that they can take decision by their own. They are given independence on middle or lower levels, and when they see their decisions becoming successful, their confidence boosts. Say for example, once upon a time, if there is some kind of suggestion given by the employee, but the middle level or top level has neglected that decision or suggestion, and they take decision by their own, then this employee feels like insulting. But now, when the decision making authority and power is lies with himself, then now he is able to take decision by their own, and now he is able to talk with their superior side by side, because now he is awarded with a decision making authority, and when he see that his decisions becoming successful, whatever he wants to implement, now he is able to implement because of the decentralization of power, their confidence boosts, and which will increase the productivity and production of the organization. They also get the experience on how to take such kind of decisions in such kind of situations. So it may also result in the career growth, because once an employee who is not able to take a decision of their own work, now he is awarded with the more power, authority and responsibility, where he can work easily, and once if he see that his decisions become successful and his decision gets the success of the department or the organization itself, then their confidence will boost, and in this situation he or she always eagerly waiting for making a decision, and by this way they become successful in each and every step, and after some time they will be promoted to the next position, and from that way their career development and career growth is also there. So with this third point, that is increased in motivation, we conclude our session over here. Today we discuss first of all about the centralization and decentralization of authorities, then concept of the decentralization, meaning and definition, and lastly in importance we discussed the 3 points of importance of management. Remaining 3 points and limitations we'll discuss from next lecture onwards. Thank you very much, class.